Hello, hey, what's up, everybody? Caitlin Silva here, founder of the Author Mentor, and welcome back to the 4-day workshop on how you can reach your author goals in the next 9 days or less. I'm so excited. Welcome back. I'm glad that you are here. So again, as we are diving into day number 3 today, day number 1, we talked about the biggest myth about being a writer and the idea that you have to write every day or that it's supposed to be super easy to just sit down and flow, and instead how to actually make time for your book and that you don't have to write every single day, but instead how you can continue to push toward your goal and not get discouraged by all the different other stuff out there, right? And we also tied that into yesterday where we talked about the real reason why you haven't reached your goal yet and what you can do about it. We talked about the 5 root causes of writer's block and what's really holding you back and how to overcome those to be able to push forward and actually reach your author goals. So for today, we are talking about the biggest mistake that authors make when they are publishing their book and what you can do instead. I want to share with you that ultimately it's all about strategy. There are so many authors out there that have this big misconception about what it takes to publish or what publishing looks like. They're not even clear on the ultimate goals that they have for their book. They're not specific. And so what they do is they end up just putting the book out there and hoping it succeeds. By the way, there's no magic thing that happens. You can't just put a book out there and magically hope it just succeeds. There is a strategy to that process. It is simple, not necessarily easy, but it is simple. Now, what I want to share with y'all is that you've probably heard many horror stories, especially if you're involved in other writing communities or things like that, about what it takes to publish or about books that have flopped or fallen into the Amazon graveyard or anything like that. I want to share with y'all that my first book was a total flop. It was completely devastating, and I got some bad reviews, and it really tanked. And I was really discouraged at first, thinking, oh my gosh, is this really possible? But that was actually what fueled me to continue to really dive in deep, learn about both sides of the industry, really understand the ins and outs of what works and what doesn't. And that's what I've actually experimented with and put into place as I have written and published 8 works and counting over the last few years. I've been able to see firsthand what works and what doesn't work as well, and been able to teach many other authors about this exact same process that I'm sharing with you in this video today. So what I want to share with you is, again, that it's simple. There's a proven system that you walk throughout the publishing process, and it doesn't have to break the bank. A lot of people have this misconception that self-publishing is super expensive and that traditional publishing is really difficult to get into. And the truth is that yes, traditional publishing can be a challenge, but they're not so separate. Self-publishing can actually be used as a boost and a catalyst to get in with a traditional publisher. Traditional publishing is all about your platform and your reach and what you're able to actually accomplish, because let's be honest, the publishers want to make money too. What I want to share with y'all is that there is a huge shift that's happened in the industry over the last several years. In fact, I would say probably even over the last decade, where in fact, most of the revenue being made is being made by independent authors. There's been a shift away from traditional publishing and a lot more credit being given to independent authors. However, a very small percentage of those independent authors are making the bulk of the income. And there's this also gap between prices for books in the industry, between books that are being sold by traditional publishers versus indie publishers. And there's this conception with readers that some of them will actually pay that bigger price for the traditionally published book. However, I want to share with y'all that even with a traditional publishing deal, unless there is that big platform, it's a lot more difficult, and the royalties are a lot smaller. As a self-published author, you have a lot of control over your book, especially the pricing and the marketing and all of that. But again, it is also about building a platform. So either way, it's important to understand the marketing aspects, the strategy, and wanting to reach your author goals through building your presence as an author and approaching it like a business model. I'm not going to go into tons of detail on that today, but I did want to share that with you as a precursor because it is important to understand the shifts that have happened in the industry and some of the misconceptions. Again, there's this misconception as well about what it takes to self-publish and the costs involved with that. I want to share with you that it is very important to have a high quality work, something that you're truly proud of and that you know that readers are truly enjoying and not being pulled out of the writing by tons of mistakes or things that could have been avoided through a really great editing. So there is some investing involved in self-publishing, like editing, cover design, and all of that stuff to really make your book stand out and look professional. However, besides that, self-publishing really shouldn't be something that breaks the bank, depending on how far you want to go with book promotions, of course. And we'll talk about that at a completely different time. What I'm here to share with you today is, again, that it does come down to a simple, proven system that you can follow from start to finish, from manuscript to published book, in order to make sure that your book is set up for success, is high quality, and does well on its own. And that's what I'm sharing with you today. Now, I'm not going to go into the complete depth of detail on all of them, but what I'm going to share with you is that below this video, there is a checklist that I put together to guide you step by step through that process, give you the tools that you need, and show you exactly what to do to be able to push your book, to help it launch successfully, and to see that momentum sustained after your book has already been published. So get that checklist, download it, and start following it if you already have a finished book so that you can reach your goals and you can start taking those steps forward, knowing exactly what you need without having fluff or BS from the industry out there on stuff that's overwhelming, misinformation, or doesn't work, right? So I want you to have the steps that you actually need to succeed. One of those biggest things that you can do is having the support behind your book when your book is launching. Believe it or not, the amount of support that you have for your book can literally make or break your book. So a lot of people teach things like, oh, do a free launch, or do a 99-cent strategy, or do all these different things. But ultimately, what it comes down to for your book to succeed is having support behind your book. And that is one of the biggest mistakes that authors make, is not having the right support behind their book. Even with all those other strategies that the industry teaches, if you don't have the right support, again, it can make or break your book. So that's the biggest thing that I want to share with you today. So use the checklist to get the step-by-step system that you need to follow and the exact steps to take through the publishing process. And then the biggest thing I would advocate for is making sure that you put together a solid support team for your book. That can come from writing communities. It can come from friends and family. It can come from all kinds of different sources, like other authors or readers or whatever that looks like. The most important thing is making sure that they're genuinely invested in you and your success, and that they will be behind you to support you when the book launches, to push that book to succeed. When that happens, your book will have the momentum that it needs to on launch, and you will be able to see that sustained after the launch process is over. However, it is some work in the back end, but it has a big payoff. There's additional notes on that inside of the publishing checklist that I put together, so definitely check that out below the video, because I go into detail on how you can build that support, how you can guide them through the publishing process, the benefits that you can give them for helping you to succeed, and all of those details throughout that process. So get the checklist below, download it, start working through those steps so that you can succeed with your book in publishing. And I'll see you in tomorrow's video, where we're going to talk about exactly what the secret sauce is to reaching your author goals starting now. So remember, we're here to write, publish, inspire. I'll see you tomorrow.